Good morning, my superstars. I hope you're all well. All the way here from New Zealand, Aotearoa. Before we begin, I just want to let you guys know that this reading is heavy. I did it, and for some reason, everything stopped recording, and I realized this sort of like about 5 minutes in, so I had to start over. Then, you will not believe it, I was putting my bracelet on, and as I put it on, literally minutes ago, it broke. So that is telling us how serious this energy is. But don't worry, I've got my sage, I've burnt my sage, I've cleansed, I've cleared, but I just wanted to let you guys know that this is what happened. It literally, because normally I wear it with my little blue one, and blue one is still intact, but literally, as I put it on, the whole thing just broke. I'm just going to put this one on as well. But yes, let's get into it, my friends. This reading has gone very, very long. I'm really, really sorry. I'll see how it goes. I might break it up into two. I might cut it into two. But let's just have a look here quickly. Just remember, I'm just going to clear the energy, and while I'm doing that, I'm just going to remind everybody that this is for fun and entertainment purposes only, and that you need to do your own research. This is all energy based, and whatever we say here might be alleged. So as I said, I was going to do another expanded reading on the alleged photo and the alleged shadow figure behind it. But I'm going to do something a little bit differently today. I've been playing around a little bit with numerology and stuff, and the way I'm going to do this the way I do numerology. So you do you, I do me. I'm still new to this, and I'm going to be very blunt and very honest with you. They had to pull me through by the scruff of my neck and my hair, and I think my posterior skin is still sitting on the benches at school with regards to maths, but I know how to add 1 and 1 to make 2. 1 and 1 doesn't become 11 for me. So, and I'm also going to be using 2 decks here today. The one is the beginner's deck, which I've already laid out on the table, and then I've got the Old Faithful that is sitting over here that I'm also going to be using. As per usual, it's going to be my 11 cards that I lay out. I'm going to look for some underlying energies as well, and if we've got time, we might see if the other deck has got some messages for us. But why I'm using these 2 decks is because there are archetypes here that are already linked to the numerology. And with the numerology, what I'll do is I will pop it onto your screen, the mathematics, in order not to waste your time with me writing everything out. But basically how it's going to be working is I'm going to be looking at the date of birth, for example, or the certain date. I'm going to add up the date numbers, plus in the time numbers. And then what I'm going to do with the time numbers, I'm going to add the date and the time number together to get to a number. Ignore this is incorrect. That is just my scribbles. I'm just giving you an idea of how the reading is going to go. Everything that I've got here, I've searched high and low. I've gone through to all the platforms. I've looked at all the details that's available publicly. And then also with working with my guides, I also came across some bits and bobs, and that is where this reading has stemmed out from the previous 2 or 3 readings. They all seem to be interlinked, and I'll link them up here on the screen so you can actually have a look at them if you haven't seen them. But as such, this is a standalone reading, but that's just the way I'm just going with what the energies are saying. You have to excuse me, I have made notes, so I might refer to my notes as we go through the reading, especially with the numerology, because I'm still fairly new to it. So the energy around that, I'm still sitting in and I'm still getting used to it. And let me know in the comment if you want me to do more of them as well. It will be really appreciated. So there are going to be 4 timelines that I'm going to look at numerologically, as well as the birth date of Epps. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the birth date of Epps. There are contradictory bits and bobs with regards to his time of birth. My guides kept putting me towards 5:30 a.m. But when I've looked at what other readers and other astrologers have said and what is available sort of online, it seems to be a consensus that it was 6:15 in the morning. So I'm going to go on the 6:15 in the morning. If you've got any other information about it, let me know, because that will, the time will also influence the reading. But I'm basing it on the 6:15 in the morning. Then the other 4 timelines I'm looking at. And 2 of them people are actually overlooking in this whole scenario. The first timeline is going to be an incident that took place on the 23rd of July 2019, when there was the first attempt and medevac. Then there is another timeline that is completely out of whack here. That's the 29th. Let me just double check here. I'll tell you now. Yeah, the 29th of July 2019. There's also some discrepancies with regards to the times. Some people say it happened on the 28th, sort of after 11. Others are saying that it happened July 1 and 2. So what I've done is I have put it as a 00. So I put it at midnight, which takes me on to the 29th of July. And that incident has to do with DVRs and recording devices that malfunctioned. Note, the date was before the 10th, but also after the 23rd. So already there we see there is a discrepancy with recording devices. Then I'm going to be looking at the actual date, which is going to be the 10th of August 2019, and I'm going to work it on the time of discovery, which was 6:30 a.m. in the morning. Okay, and those are going to be sort of my timelines. So I'll show you on screen how I've actually done it, so that I don't waste everybody's time with the whole. So it's basically going to be taking the year and adding it all up. So you'll see it on screen. So it will be the year, the month, and the date. And keep in mind, I'm from New Zealand and I'm from South Africa as well, and we speak a little bit differently with times. We don't say February the 8th or January the 1st. We speak about it as 20 January 2026, for example. So I'm going to stick to the way I speak, but just so that you know, we normally put the date before the months and then the year. Okay, but you'll see it on screen. So let's dive into this. And while I just do that, I just want to give these a quick little shuffle here. I haven't even started. Something is being offered, emotional offering. You guys wouldn't have seen this deck used before, but yeah, this is a little deck that I use. It's also the tarot deck. I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to put it out the way. So I've just got some space to work here. And yeah, so let's have a look here. So what I'm going to do is I'll just do, oh, Jesus, these cards are jumpy. I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to shuffle these quickly. Then they are shuffled before we actually start, and we can just get into the reading. Good heavens. Okay, I'm just going to cut them quickly. And why I'm doing it now is so that the energy can actually be in the cards before I actually get into the reading, and the energy can actually be blocked. And we'll take it from there. So let's just do that. Okay. Okay, so here we see the archetypes lying on the table, and I'll explain it to you now. So we're going to first look at J.E.'s birth date, which was 20 January 1953. And as you see, when you add it all up, I'm adding the dates up. So when I add the date up, that comes to 12, and 12 reduces to 3, and 3 is the Empress. And then we are taking the time of birth, and I add up the 0, the 6, the 1, and the 5, and that comes to 12. What am I talking about? 12. Yeah, it comes to 3. And at the top one, I'm taking the 1953-0120, and that's 21, and that reduces to a 3. Okay, and also the energy around his birth time also reduces to a 3. So we've got 2 3s here. So we've got the Empress here twice, but combined it is 6. And combined that energy makes the Lovers. Look at all the feminine energy here. And there we go. The 2 active parties in this, but it is not just them, it is also other partnerships. So let's just have a look here. This Empress upright is alignment and choices and stability. But in reverse, it is the quality of duality of a person. Sorry, that's this one. Sorry, this thing popped off here. Talking about the Lovers here. The Lovers here, upright, is alignment, soul choices, life choices, connections, partnerships. But in reverse, as we all know, it is split realities. A person living 2 lives at once. And this Empress energy here is a fertile system, upright, power, growth, and networking. But in reverse, it is almost like a smothering control, and a barren, I want to almost say in this instance, a barren legacy built on greed. So how apt did these numbers actually turn out? But then we are going to also just note that Epps, his astrology note is an Aquarius sun, and that is the shadow of Aquarius, and it is a ghost in the machine, using networks that has got detachment and that are unseen. How unreal is this? Doesn't it speak of the person in the photo? Now we're going to have a look at the other timelines here. Let's start with the first timeline of the 23rd of July 2019, 1:27 a.m. And you'll see here on screen, I've done the maths, I've added them all together, and the date line comes to 6, and the timeline, as you'll see there, comes to 7, to 1, and then that brings them both back to 7. And what is the 7 archetype? 7 archetype is the Chariot, upright. But you see there again, with that the 6 that has come through as well. The 6 number and the date, and then the 1 and the time is the Magician. Okay? But combined, they make the Chariot. The 1 and the 6 makes the Chariot. So just have a look there. Movement. The Chariot upright is victory and a driven path. And in reverse, it is almost, I want to say, hidden forces pulling in opposite directions and a narrative that is about to crash. And this Magician upright is manifesting, and in reverse, it's the trickster energy. So I'm not doing any, I'm just giving you the information. So I'm not telling you if it's upright or reverse, but and whichever way we read them, it does align with Epps and the whole scenario. Then we have got the 29th of July 2019, midnight. And if I add the date numbers up, it goes to 3. It goes to 6, and it goes down to 3. So again, there we've got 3. Again, we've got the Empress here. And if we reduce it, it still remains 3. Okay? So remember what I said? This energy is a double energy. And it's almost telling me that there's a system within a system. And there is a motherly or a mother energy or a mother narrative that is protecting the young, but not in the young as we think the young is. It is protecting stories. It's holding on very, very tightly to the possession of the stories that they've got. Now we're going to move on to the 4th timeline. And the 4th timeline, I'll get to in a moment. Because also this 29th energy here is what really centers it, because there was a lot of stuff, that whole crash of the DVRs, that was allegedly it crashed, allegedly there were issues, allegedly it wasn't recording. Was that a preempt for what was coming? Was that a test that was being run? Was it a way to try and protect? But now we're going to go to the timeline of the alleged photo. And I've popped it on the screen that we've read about in the previous reading, which will also pop up there. And if I do the maths on the date, 26/02/06 is 18, and that reduces to a 9. And if you recall the previous reading, how many times this Hermit has come up? And if you remember, in the Hermit card, I pointed to the lantern and the shape of the star. So nobody can tell me that I've picked cards or I've stacked decks or anything. The numerology is confirming my previous reading. Then if I look at the time, that is a time of, it reduces, the 1900 reduces down, it goes to 10, and that reduces down to 1. And 1, again, takes me to the Magician. Upright, skilled, bridging, 2 worlds, what is as above is below. Again, 2 world energies. In reverse, it's the manipulation, sleight of hand, trickery. Are we allegedly onto something? I'm just going on what these numerological numbers have shown me. Now, you've seen I haven't moved the deck. The cards are still sitting here. And I'm going to pull my normal, very long. I'm really sorry. 11 cards. I'll see how it goes. I might break it up into 2. I might cut it into 2. But let's just have a look here quickly. Thank you for watching up to this point. This is the end of part 1. Part 2 will be loaded directly after this part 1. And part 2 will be focusing on the actual tarot spread that we've got. I'll see you there in a little while. Goodbye.